Here are 10 challenges that we've seen for athletes when they're trying to gain weight and build muscle. Number one is poor time management and really having a tight schedule. Where do we find time to eat when you have to combine practicing, lifting weights, going to class, studying, maybe holding a part-time job, stuff to do around the house, on top of that, trying to have a social life? Two is looking at the rules at school. So for high school athletes, can you eat in class? How much time do you have between class? Are you always in a hurry? Does that limit you from eating when you should? We know the school lunches are not typically created for the athlete because the caloric demands that an athlete have usually exceed what's in the school lunch. After school, people are typically rushed to start practice. Even whether that's sometimes college or high school, we go maybe straight from class to practice. I see this very often at both levels, whether it's lifting in the morning for college athletes and rushing to their first class. There's limited time to eat. For the high school athlete, it might be getting right out of class and practice starts in 10 minutes, but you need that afternoon snack, and we'll focus on that. School vending or fast food often becomes kind of a quick way to gain calories, and it's sometimes the only option available if you didn't bring anything to school. This typically leads, if we don't have enough calories throughout the day, to overeat at dinner to make up for the lack of calories that our body needs. Number 7 is class 10 to 15 minutes after morning workouts. So again, we're rushing. We don't have much time, and that limits our ability to get quality calories in our body. Number 8 is limited time between classes to eat. Number 9 is you might not have the food that you would like at home to make smart choices. We'll talk about some strategies that can help prevent this. And number 10 is just a lack of planning. Maybe you don't have snacks with you that you need to have for the day. So let's take a look at the typical athlete profile. Here's Charlie Babin. He's a 17-year-old defensive back, 6 foot, 175 pounds. He's currently involved in a strength and conditioning program 4 times a week, and he also plays 2 sports. So the goal for Charlie is to gain weight, build lean muscle, and improve his power, speed, agility, and athletic performance. His current habits involve struggling to eat breakfast. He just doesn't have a lot of time to eat breakfast. He tolerates the school lunch, although it's not his favorite. He eats a snack from the vending machine, occasionally from home. Very hungry when it comes to dinner time, so he eats whatever's available before dinner starts, and then he eats dinner. After practice, he's constantly thirsty, and he drinks a lot of fluids. Comes home with a lot of homework, has a lot of Facebook friends. He's trying to have a big social life. And on top of that, he works a part-time job to help pay for vehicle expenses. His current caloric intake is pretty low, especially in the morning. Breakfast about 200 calories, lunch only about 600 calories, dinner 1,400 calories, and then snack 500 calories for a total of about 2,700 calories for the day. But here's an athlete that actually needs 4,000 calories for the day to gain weight. So he's been struggling to gain body weight and build lean muscle mass. His strength, power, speed, and agility gains are hard to see any type of change or improvement, and he gets tired pretty quickly in workouts and practice. So what I want to talk about now is really the perception of eating habits with young athletes. We did a survey versus the actual eating habits versus what their perception of what their eating habits were. We surveyed 256 high school athletes on their eating habits, and first we let them give themselves a grade. 86% of those athletes thought they were eating well, so that their perceived score was a B, where their actual grade, after we gave them 13 questions ranging from, do you eat breakfast, lunch, and dinner? Do you bring snacks to school? Do you have a post-workout nutrition shake? How many fruits and vegetables do you eat? So different questions to really get an understanding of what their eating habits currently were. Their actual grade was a 65%, which, in certain standards would be a failing grade. So the perception here is that we're eating better than we actually are, and that's typically a concern. So although you might think you're eating well, more than likely 9 out of 10 times of the athletes I've seen in the nutrition plans I've looked at, there's significant room for improvement, especially in athletes trying to put on lean muscle and build muscle mass and gain weight. If we look at the college athlete, it's not that much different. We surveyed 100 football players at a Division I football team 44% of those athletes gave themselves an A or a B. 44% rated their diet a C. 12% rated their diet a D or an F. Now, we didn't actually survey the same 13 questions to these individuals. We just did the perception of, we gave them the actual survey to rate it based on what they thought. So not that much different. 88% gave themselves an A, B, or C. At the college level, 12% a D and F, where at the high school level, 86 said there was an A or a B. What are 4 common mistakes that athletes are making when they're trying to gain lean muscle? Number 1 is they're eating more protein than what's recommended. This is a big myth that eating more protein puts on weight, because that's not the case. 1 gram of protein is the same as 1 gram of carbohydrate. They're both equal to 4 calories. So whether you increase your carbohydrate or your protein intake, one or the other is not going to be the determining factor in what puts on weight. Now, there's a big difference too. There's scale weight, and then you can take your scale weight and divide it into 2, meaning there's out of that scale weight. So let's just say you're 200 pounds. How much of that is muscle and how much of that is fat? So that's the big difference. If you look at how to put on weight, we just need more calories. We don't need more protein. We need more calories. The research shows excessive amounts of protein just get burned for energy. It doesn't always get utilized by the muscle tissue. Using fast food as a high-calorie meal, and that's pretty common because we're so undernourished, we need as many calories as we can to catch up for the lack of calories that we've consumed throughout the day. So fast food meals can range from anywhere from 1,000 calories to all the way up to 2,500 calories if you're looking at some of these combo meals. Yes, you can make smart choices if you eat at a fast food restaurant, but that's typically not the case. So we don't want to use fast food as a way to make up for calories because it increases your risk of putting on body fat. Purchasing supplements from a nutrition store. This is a big no-no for a lot of reasons. And if you look at our course on supplement safety, we talk a lot about just some of the dangers when it comes to purchasing supplements and the lack of knowledge from a staff at those stores. On top of that that's not the answer. Most of these supplements are not going to pack muscle or put on weight. A lot of the supplements, particularly pre-workout products, vitamins, minerals, things like creatine, branched-chain amino acids, or just individual amino acids, they don't have any calories. So taking them doesn't mean you're going to pack on weight or muscle. Yes, some of these things can help with muscle recovery and increasing with muscle strength, but they're not going to add scale weight. So if you're trying to go from 150 to 180, these are not things that are going to be beneficial. If anything, they're going to empty your pocketbook faster. And supplements is a whole different category, and we'll get to that at a later time. Participating in additional workouts or trying to work out even harder. This is a very common practice I see in athletes trying to gain weight. They might be with their school 4 times, 5 times a week doing a strength and conditioning program for 2 hours a day. That's plenty enough to what you're doing specific to your sport. Doing additional things on top of that actually makes your ability to gain weight that much more difficult because the more calories you burn, the more you have to eat and the more challenging it becomes. So let's look at a summary of what are the really challenges that we've talked about already of gaining lean muscle weight. Poor time management and a tight schedule. So how do we fix those components when it comes to struggling to eat at the right time? In our 12-lesson course, we'll teach you that as you're about to begin that shortly. Athletes think they eat better than what they do. So really looking at your diet and writing down what you eat to really so you can see if you're really eating well or not. And we'll show you some of the things in our tracking charts where you'll be setting goals to teach you how to really evaluate your diet. Inadequate intake of quality versus the quantity of calories. So there's quality foods, and there's also the amount of food we need to get the right amount of calories, and we're going to help you with that as well. Patterns of ways athletes try and solve the problem are wrong and often work against them. So turning to supplements, maybe doing more workouts, things that are really not the answer that we can get with just good quality nutrition.